Hello and welcome. American funny man, actor, director and composer Mel Brooks began his career as a stand-up comedian and TV writer. Would you believe, among other things, he was the co-creator of Get Smart? But it was in his later years he won a global reputation as a film producer, director and screenwriter. His movies have included The Producers, The 12 Chairs, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, Silent Movie, High Anxiety, History of the World, Part 1, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and the Star Wars parody Spaceballs. Not long after Spaceballs was released, I interviewed Mel in his Hollywood office. Now, interview might not be quite the right word. It was more like a series of comedy monologues as Mel recounted, playing most of the parts himself, how Spaceballs came into being, and the reaction he got from Mr. Star Wars himself, George Lucas.
Very nice indeed, yes. Very different. No, actually we're opening the 24th.
Right.
And there's very little I can do now with the picture. I can't change anything. It's what it is. Although I must say I'm very cheered because a week ago we had a screening down in Newport Beach. Newport Beach, that's just a little south of Darwin. Actually, it's a little north of San Diego and a little south of Los Angeles, and it's a nice community because it's kind of a mixture of street people and rich people and all kinds of people who live in Newport Beach. And we played at the Edwards Town Center, which holds 535 seats. We advertised in only one local paper, Newport, Orange County paper, not the LA paper, because we wanted to keep the critics away. And over 300 people were turned away, maybe 250, maybe not 300, but over 200 people were turned away.
Did you actually say what the film was?
Yeah, we said it's Mel Brooks' Spaceballs, that's all. And we said it goes on at 8 o'clock. That's all we said. 535 seats, 700 or 800 people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So that was even better than their reaction. It showed that there's a great want to see for it, which we've been tracking, and it's true. They do want to see this picture. Anyway, I listened to them, and they were wonderful. I mean, the audience was terrific. I mean, they laughed in all the right spots, and they cheered at the end, and they spotted me, and they cheered and made a big. And so I feel very good and positive about our opening chances. You know?
Well, I mean, obviously we haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it. What is the basis of the story? In fact, what was the basis of the idea in the first place?
Well, I was thinking. I said, Mel. I said, yes. Who's that? I said, it's only me. I said, okay. Just it scared me for a minute. I didn't recognize your voice. So then I said, it's me, Mel. Relax. I'm just talking. I said, okay. Then I said, Mel. I said, yes. What genre have you not destroyed? I thought carefully. So I've destroyed the West with Blazing Saddles, the horror film with Young Frankenstein, the suspense film with High Anxiety, the silent movie with Silent Movie. I said, what is there to do? Then I said, of course, The Last Frontier, space. I said, are there enough space pictures? Well, I went through them in my mind. There's Star Trek from 1 to 4. There's Aliens from 1 to 2. There's Star Wars from 1 to 3. I said, yes, now. Not to mention all the other sci-fi goodies in the past, like Planet of the Apes, etc. I said, it's enough of a genre to destroy, to have... Actually, I do pay homage. I do salute, like I saluted Hitchcock in High Anxiety.
Of course.
I mean, I do. I won't do anything with a genre, to a genre that I don't love to begin with, because it won't call to me. It won't call to the things in me that I can have fun with.
What was it in the space genre that was calling to you?
Well, first of all, my kids buying all these action figures and making all these laser noises for years now. Choo-choo, 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 choo-choo. I mean, drove me crazy.
Sound.
Right. And then I just loved it. I love the idea of space, of the future, of planets, of this kind of vast freedom, It was just a wonderful, wonderful idea, the whole idea of first of all, of God creating space. It's one of his best things. I think that and women, he created both, you know. Space and women are the best things God ever did. I mean, I'm very happy about both of those things.
So
not in that order.
He got them right. More
Yeah, he got them right. Yeah, the curves are right in both. Einstein fools around with the curves in space, and I fool around with the curves in women. But both of us are addicted to curves. But basically, I thought the genre was ripe enough for fun, and I thought. I mean, you could call the movie "Blazing Satellites." You know, it's that kind of a movie. But anyway, there's your answer. I mean, I felt, you know, it was the time.
So when you two had this discussion, I mean, what did you decide then you had to do? I mean, did you go back and look at the films? Did you look at the number of the films?
Yeah, I do that. I'm assiduous in my devotion to research. I really am. So I went back and I saw all the Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And they are by far the Promethean ones of the genre. They are monumental. They are sensational. They are the Western in space. They are the white hat and the black hat. And I mean, they're classic movies. And I think George Lucas is a landmark filmmaker, and will be remembered for centuries. I mean, he's really talented. And then I saw Alien. I liked the first one very much. I thought the second one was frankly exploitive. And then I saw the Star Treks, and strangely enough, the last one was the best. I thought Star Trek 4.
With them coming back?
Yeah, with them coming back, I thought that was the best. And I love space, and I love that young people love it. I love that young people want their imagination set free and unfettered, and that they love the idea of vast areas and a future where you can go at unlimited speeds, and that you have these incredible imaginative creative devices for your leisure. You know, it's just it's a wonderful thing. And also, anything that's not now is very comforting. It's only now. I hate pictures that are movies that are about now.
They're too constricted.
Yeah, right. Well, they remind you of your mortality and your real existence, and it's very disturbing, you know. But the future is great because it says, first of all, that there will be a future, and maybe you'll be part of it. So psychologically, I think space movies really speak to us along those lines, and that's why they're so attractive to us.
Did you in fact talk to George or Steven Spielberg or David Cronenberg who did Fly? Or
actually, I did finally get to meet George. We mixed the picture up at Sprockets. Sprockets is an ILM subsidiary. ILM is Industrial Light and Magic, right, which is George Lucasfilm's basic company, post-production company. And we went up to San Rafael because George promised if we used his facilities, he would open his library to us. And that was splendid, because where are you going to get the choo-choo, choo-choo? You're not going to get the jet sounds, the thrums, the things that shake your seat, and the laser fire, and all the gorgeous, gorgeous sounds.
So you were able to...
It took them
right.
10 years to create.
Right.
You know, so they made them readily available to us. And then they also did us the goodness of building our alien. We do a little satire of the alien. I called John Hurt, who, remember in the Alien, that figure burst out of his stomach?
Yes.
And I said, ever since then, I said, John, you know, my son has never slept well since then. And just like in Young Frankenstein, when I finally had the monster dancing with Gene Wilder, and it was kind of like an exorcism. People were free at last of the fear of the monster. They loved him. I said, I'd like to do that for the alien. And I explained, I'd like it to burst out of your belly in my movie. Put on a straw hat and a cane and then dance down the counter. He said, you're joking. I said, I'm not. He said, surely you're joking. I said, John, I'm not. I said, fly here next week. He said, well, I can't do that next week. I'm in a film. He said, but I'll come in 3 weeks' time. So in 3 weeks' time, he came to America, and we built this diner set, you know, had it ready for him. And sure enough, he has an attack, and it bursts out of his belly again. And he says, oh, no, not again. And sure enough, it puts on a straw hat and grabs a cane and dances down the counter and sings "Hello, My Baby." And it is one of the great scenes of the movie, you know. John Candy and Bill Pullman who watch it are dumbfounded, you know. So that was a wonderful, wonderful thing to do, to set people free of their fear of this alien monster, you know. There are many other reasons for making the movie, mostly money, but yeah. But no,
you're also, what you seem to be then is kind of a world psychologist for everybody. You set out to free people.
A comedy writer or a comic in general is really the world's conscience, always. I mean, we're the political cartoonists. We're the guys that write the gags about the president for Bob Hope. We're the fellows who point to westerns and Blazing Saddles, point out their cruelty. We're the ones that we are the comic conscience of the world, and it's really our job. It's our job to point to illogic, to point to the real truth, and you know, and we enjoy doing it. Sometimes viciously, but we enjoy doing it. You know.
Yeah. Can I just take you back? I want to talk some more about the film, but I just love to take you back a little bit. I mean, where did you start to, I suppose, make a buck out of being funny in some way or other?
Well, I started as a drummer. I was a drummer in the Borscht Belt. The Borscht Belt is a kind of nice, cute term for the Catskill Mountains, in which there were many summer resorts with different names. And I worked at one called the Butler Lodge, under the tutelage of the owner, whose name was Pincus Cohen, which I think is redundant. Pincus or Cohen would be enough, but his name was Pincus Cohen. He had both of those names. And I was the drummer in his band, and one night he came over to me and said, Melvin. I think he was talking to me. It was Melbmn. Melvin. What is it, Pincus, or what is it, Cohen? What do you want? He said, the comic is sick. Joey is sick. The comic's name was Joey. He said, you know all those shitty jokes? You can say them, please. I said, who played the drums? He said, I'll play the drums. What is it? It's just hitting them, right? So believe it or not, this 50-year-old man sat at the drums, and I became the comic, and that was the beginning of my career as a comedian. Now, I did all those bad jokes. She was so fat, that, and I hated them. So I created new jokes. And I liked writing jokes. And I ran into this guy called Sid Caesar, who was working at the Avon Lodge. I worked at the Butler Lodge. He played the saxophone, and we used to jam together. I played the drums. And Sid Caesar was very funny. And when we both grew up, he went to the Coast Guard, and I went into the Army. And he made a movie in the Coast Guard called Tars and Spars. And I saw it, and I said, Sid, you're really funny. And he said, well, they want me to do this thing called television. Will you write for me? And I said, certainly. So we did the show of shows together. And I thought it would be a week, and I was with him for 9 years writing that show. Some of the writers writing the show were people like Larry Gelbart, who wrote MASH and On the Way to the Forum, Neil Simon, who wrote every great Broadway comedy, and Woody Allen and Mike Stewart, who wrote Hello, Dolly. And we had some wonderful writers on that show. We learned a lot from each other. But what we learned more than anything was not to write jokes. It was to write character and little tiny scenes or playlets. And these playlets, we would have absurd situations and very earnest characters. Very much like Oscar Wilde. Restoration comedy. And we got big laughs, and we still kept our dignity. And we never, the human verity was always there. Human behavior was always correct. We just would change the situations that it was employed in. And I really learned that. Max Liebman was the producer of the show of shows, and he taught us. It was like Liebman University. And he really taught us, a lot about theater and a lot about classical writing. And if you get a chance to watch 10 from Your Show of Shows, which is a cassette that's come out of it, 10 from Your Show of Shows. It's a small movie. You'll see some classic comedies and wonderful writing. And that's where I really learned my craft. And I was a comedy writer for a long time until I made The Producers.
Right.
In The Producers, I found not only Zero Mostel, that genius, but Gene Wilder. And Gene Wilder was like like Fellini found Alberto Sordi. I found Gene Wilder. I love Gene Wilder. And I love Gene Wilder very much. And what happened was that Gene Wilder then went on to do Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother and The World's Greatest Lover, and left me comic-less. I did not have a vehicle for my comic passion. So I used Mel Brooks, and I began to sing in high anxiety and did all these silly things, and I enjoyed that.
What were the negotiations like with Mel to get him to actually come?
Oh, I mean, I had to sleep with him. I mean, I had to submit to the worst things. I mean, he was terrible. But finally, he's begun to pay me a decent wage now. So I'm happy. But now I know what's best for me. Instead of being the compere or the MC or the host or the Bob Hope of my movies, I now am a guest star in my movies. Like I was in Blazing Saddles, playing Governor Lepetime. I'm now back in Spaceballs. I play President Scroob, S-K-R-O-O-B, very much like Brooks, inverted like a little anagram. And my motto is Scroob the people, Scroob the people. And I'm very much like some current president who doesn't give a shit about our environment, and is a tool of who's ever running the country. And I also play a little wizened old man called Yogurt, and I dispense wisdom with fruit on the bottom. I play these two characters. I'm wonderful. I'm wonderfully funny in both. I'm just two little guest stars. Instead of being the hero is Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman is called Lone Star, and he's the unshaven Harrison Ford of our movie. And we got him from Ruthless People. He plays Earl, the idiot,
yes,
with the blonde hair and the black roots. Funny that we should take an idiot and make him our hero, but that's typical Mel Brooks movie, And Daphne Zuniga, Zuniga.
She was in a teenage film, I think.
Yeah. Well, actually, she was in the Sure Thing, Rob Reiner's picture. She was beautiful in that. And I don't blame John Cusack for falling in love with her and not the blonde. But she is gorgeous, and she's peppy, and she is funny. And when Bill Pullman hands her a gun and says, "Hold them off," she says, "I hate guns," because she is a typical. She's the daughter of King Roland, who's king of the Druids, and Daphne happens to be a Druish princess. So she hates guns, and she loves jewelry and room service. And anyway, in this, she makes a wonderful march of character. She's great, because from the spoiled Druish princess, one of the bad guys shoots her in the hair, H-A-I-R, and she says, "You son of a bitch, you shot my hair," and she wipes them out. She has this laser rifle, and she knocks the shit out of all of them. So she's terrific. And Joan Rivers plays this golden robot who is her duenna, her governess, and she has a virgin alarm, so if anybody gets too close, it goes off before they do. Get it? And Joan Rivers is just remarkably funny in the picture. And John Candy plays a morgue. That's half a man, half a dog. She says, "What are you?" He says, "I'm a morgue." She says, "What's that?" He says, "Half a man, half a dog." He says, "I'm my own best friend." He's cute as anything. And John Candy is really, really deliciously funny. But I think one of the great funny discoveries of the movie, and the most profoundly funny person in it, is a creature by the name of Dark Helmet. Just like we had Darth Vader, we've got Dark Helmet, who's about 3 feet tall. And he's played by Rick Moranis, who was, the keeper of the keys, the crazy dog in Ghostbusters. And Rick Moranis is hysterically funny as Dark Helmet. He's like has a 2.5-room apartment in that helmet. He does everything. He rinses out his shorts. He brushes his teeth. He's amazing, and he's really miraculously funny. But we had a good time making the movie because he came up with some good stuff that was both imaginative and scatological, which I love best.
I can imagine that the people, when they hear a Mel Brooks film that's going to be made, must practically queue. I mean, do you have?
Well, it's been funny. They've got the theaters that have advertised that they're going to be playing Spaceballs have been besieged by people wanting to buy tickets in advance. We don't do that in America, and it's amazing. I've told them take their money, but they won't. But I think they already have chalked their places for the lineup. On opening day. So.
They're encamped, probably.
Right. Outside. They are, really. I mean, they've got their tents and they're waiting. They're wonderful. They're great people. I mean, they're my fans, and they may be fools, but I love them.
Now, this may be an obvious question, but why Spaceballs? I mean, what was the...
Well, the bad guys are named Spaceballs. They are the Spaceballs, and they bounce around space, and they're mean and they're vicious. And we have a song called Spaceballs that tells you how tough they are, and you better not get in their way. And it's a good... it's onomatopoetica, Spaceballs. It tells you a lot. First of all, it says space. It tells you that the film happens in space. And balls always means idiots, bouncing around and fun, and it's a very peppy and happy title.
And has George Lucas actually seen the completed film?
No, he hasn't seen the completed film. He's seen many different parts of it because we mixed up there. And he's not. Don't worry, he's not going to sue us. He loves it. He's a good sport, and he loves it. And he fell about laughing when he saw some of the takeoffs of Dark Helmet and stuff like that. He's a wonderful guy, really, and we're indebted to him.
What was the budget on the film? It sounds like
it's a big film because you've got to, on a film like this, you've got to do exactly what they do. You've got to do it as well as you can, as well as Star Wars did it. And then just move it an inch to the left or right, Because you need that hard wall of space reality to bounce the rubber ball of comedy against. It doesn't work without it. Because you make funny sets and you make foolish costumes, you're not going to get the absurdity that you need to play against it.
And in fact,
so the budget was close to $23 million. For me, that's a big budget.
It is,
yeah. But space is always a big budget of film. Space
these
always
days,
it always commands a lot of money, right?
Just diverging for a moment, I loved 84 Charing Cross Road, and I was in London about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really? Where did you see it? The Curzon?
No, I saw it in Australia before I left.
Yeah.
But I also did a phone interview with Helene Hatt.
Oh, how nice.
And when I got to London, I went down to 84 Charing Cross Road.
Did you see it? There's a disc.
Yeah, I went in. I bought a copy of the book in there.
You're kidding?
No.
It's a beautiful picture. I'm very glad that we made it. There's two sides to Mel Brooks. There's the big commercial comedy side, and then there's the little guy that walks out of the closet and does pictures like The Elephant Man.
Well, I was going to say
My Favorite Year, 84 Charing Cross Road, The Fly, and things that are darker but have something to say about the human condition.
Is that a result of seeing the reaction to comedy and puncturing people's egos and bringing people down to earth and realizing that there is, on one hand you can deal with the big things, but you always can come back also to the smaller people.
I think it's the nuances of life that stick with you, the little things of life. It's the thank you that you don't expect that you get from somebody in the street. Or a kindness that's shown to you unexpectedly that renews your faith in mankind. And there's no time for that small stuff in big comedy. So I have to back off and really paint on a much smaller canvas and almost pointillistically, and say the things I want to say about the sweetness and the kindness and the endearing qualities of people, And that's why I formed Brooks Films. We started with The Elephant Man. Nobody would make it. And I said, this has to be made. This is a beautiful story.
Yeah, it certainly was.
And then we continued on. We made My Favorite Year and a beautiful picture about Francis Farmer called Francis.
Yeah.
And everything we've done, we've been very proud of. I mean, a lot of them have not made any money, but they were all good. We did the first ever Dylan Thomas screenplay called The Doctor and the Devil. Beautiful piece. It didn't make any money, but we never lost any money because we always make things for nothing.
Actually, I saw, as a result, because of that film, I went and saw Timothy Dalton last year.
Yeah.
In the last dress rehearsal of Anthony and Cleopatra, and then went backstage and saw him.
Really?
To talk to him about Dr.
Dr. Now he's James Bond, and I hear that they want him to do a multiple pick-back to play Bond. I just read that in the trades. Yes.
Well, I believe from people who've seen the Bond film in London that
he's a
very
fine actor.
good.
He's a terrific stage actor.
Oh, wonderful.
Actually, Anthony Hopkins suggested him for the Doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a fine actor. He's underrated because he's so handsome, so good looking that people don't know about his spark and his panache. You know?
Oh, power on stage.
Yeah,
it's
just
great.
wonderful. It's wonderful. But my favorite English actor would be Hopkins. He is just layered. He's incredibly layered. He can play something spiffy and stylish on the surface, or he can be somber and profound way at the bottom. He's the best living English-speaking actor we have in the world today.
Do you think?
Anthony Hopkins.
Ahead of Alec Guinness?
Oh, yes. Because maybe Guinness in his time, but I mean, age is limits our Oliviers. And death finally claims our Richardsons, you know. But it limits our Gielguds and our Oliviers and our Guinnesses. So you need the power of prime manhood to be able to pronounce yourself as Lear, even though you're playing an old man. But you watch Hopkins on one night, literally, playing Antony and Cleopatra, and the next night playing King Lear. It's fucking unbelievable that that same human being did
bringing that to life. Yeah.
And just watch him play Professor Treves in The Elephant Man, or that simple middle-class Englishman, Londoner, in 84 Charing Cross Road, sitting there quietly, taking his time, eating for such a long time, and then looking up at his wife and saying, very nice, very tasty. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's understanding of timing and rhythm, and understatement.
You're obviously going to do another film.
Oh yeah, I will. I always look for things to do with Tony Hopkins, always. And John Hurt, he's a great favorite of mine too. John Hurt is a great actor.
Oh, wow.
John Hurt played Jesus for me in History of the World. I played a waiter at the Last Supper, and I kept saying, "Oh Jesus," and he'd say, "What?" I'd say, "What?" And then I'd say, "What do you want?" He'd say, "No, you said you called me," and I'd say, "No, I didn't." And he'd say, "Well, stop bothering me." I said, "Well, stop bothering me." Well, Jesus. He'd say, "What?" And I'd say, "What?" I mean, he was amazing. He was a wonderful Jesus. He also was a great Elephant Man, you know.
Oh, it was marvelous.
I have a knack of
touching,
of seeking out
talent.
Really, truly profoundly talented people. But we're getting away from Spaceballs.
Well, and on Spaceballs, and you're getting away from time. Okay, very quickly. I mean, how do you go about writing now? I mean, obviously writing gags is one thing, but when you're writing a screenplay, I mean, do you get up? Do you walk around the room?
No, I don't do that here. I'm at Fox. These are my telephones. I'm available to the world of showbiz, to film commerce, so to speak.
Right.
After dinner, I talk to my son. I spend some time with my wife, and when both of them are ready to go to bed, I go to the attic. And from about 11ish until 2:30, when the world is asleep, I play Mozart very softly, or Billie Holiday. Either one is good. Billie Holiday singing and Mozart, they're just as good as each other. And I make my notes, I do my corrections, and I do my writing. What I do is usually correct the stuff I've done the day before and then go on. And it takes a 3-hour session is all I need. I mean, I can get sometimes 11, 12 pages done in that time.
Do you try to...
And also correct the previous day's work.
But do you try to create... Do you be the characters?
I'm all the characters. I'm a good actor. I play all my characters.
Walking around the room?
Walk around the room, I talk to them. I talk as them. I feel as them. When I feel I'm close to tears, then I know I've got it. When I feel I'm close to rich laughter, then I know I've got it. And I never settle until I actually feel the emotion. I've got to feel the emotion.
So you get up, you do try a line, and then you try a response to it.
And sometimes
then you go
I
back
forget. Sometimes I forget because my attic is above my bedroom. And so I'll stamp around and start shouting. And my wife will quietly come up and say, "Melvin, it's 3 a.m. and some of us would like to get some sleep." I'm sorry, darling, for that. But she does respect that time. She very rarely bothers me. You know, she very rarely interferes with that precious time. I take, I drink Coca-Cola for the first hour to keep me awake.
Yeah.
And then then I drink Ovaltine for the next hour. And then I drink water for the next hour, 3 hours. Those are the three beverages. Coca-Cola to get me up and inspire me. Classic Coke, by the way, not the new Coke.
Of course. Oh, well,
the red one. And then it's on to Ovaltine to soothe my nerves with skim milk so I don't put on too much weight. Warm milk. And then water to cleanse the system.
Flush the system out.
And then I'm ready for bed. And then when I've done my, 6 to 11 pages, whatever that is, and I know I've paid my dues as a writer, then I can sleep.
Do you write longhand, manual typewriter, word processor?
I write in longhand, and when the bump on my finger gets large, I know I've done a good job. See? There's this writing bump on my hand, my middle finger and my right hand.
So all of these, Spaceballs was created in the attic?
No. Spaceballs I wrote with Ronnie and Tom, but we would all have our own attics, bring in our own versions of the scene and meld them.
A very generous and entertaining guy. And by the way, in the midst of the interview, Mel had jumped out of his chair and left the office, returning a few minutes later with a personally signed Spaceballs poster, and I still have it on my wall. Today, Mel Brooks is 95 and still working. He's just provided his voice to the new animated comedy Blazing Samurai, about a dog that dreams of becoming a samurai. And of course, Mel was married to brilliant Oscar-winning actress Anne Bancroft from 1964 until her death in 2005.